You probably thought today you were going to get another fishing video. Surprise! Yeah, not happening. Ended up having to take the day off of work today to take my kid to the doctor's office. So instead, you're going to get a gear dump. I'm hopefully going to be heading up this Friday to go elk hunting. Now, some of you may know that elk actually opening weekend was last weekend, but last weekend was also my wife's birthday. Yeah, now you know why this will be my opening weekend. So please bear with me. This will be my first gear dump, and I think it went okay. It's got a lot of improvement to do. So without further delay, let's get started. Welcome to 5x5 Outdoors. Today we're just going to go through a little gear dump. This weekend will be my first weekend for elk hunting. Last weekend was opening, but my wife's birthday falls on opening, so this will be my opening weekend. So before I load all my stuff up into my pack, I figure I'd just go through it real quick with everybody and kind of go over what a dad on a budget has in his pack when he hunts. So we'll start out with a bow. I am shooting a Bowtech Icon with G4 arrows, with G5 broad tips, with light up nocks. As you can tell, it's just a very simple, nothing extravagant bow setup. You don't need to be all fancy to kill elk. You just need equipment that works. So in the actual pack itself, let's start out with, I have a pretty basic first aid kit. If you guys would like to know exactly what's in this first aid kit, leave some questions in the comment section, and maybe I'll do a video on just what I have in my first aid kit for you guys if you'd like to know. I have a roll of 550 paracord. It can be used for a lot of different things. My favorite use for it is once you get your elk or deer, whatever you're hunting for, I butcher it out on the hill. So I made the mistake last year. I tried to carry out a half an elk in one trip and then went back up, got the other half an elk, and it almost killed me. So this paracord I will use to tie up the game bags, secure in a tree, so I don't have to try to carry out as much weight in one trip. 3-gallon size Ziploc bags. I like these for putting tidbits in, heart, liver, if it's still good. The usage, you come up with a lot of different things on why you would want a Ziploc bag. I have 2 pairs of thick rubber gloves. I like to use these when I'm gutting and caping. They give one extra barrier from the knife to your finger. And with archery, I've had my arrows break off inside. I've had the fins break off. It'll help your hands from getting all bloody and cut up. I have my game bags. They're just your run-of-the-mill, get at the gas station type game bag. Nothing fancy. I have a headlamp for obvious reasons. To see in the morning, if you shoot that elk later in the evening and you need to try to find it and cape it out and butcher it, you always want a good little headlamp. I have a very cheap 5x7 tarp. Now, I like using these cheap tarps. I get them from Harbor Freight. It's not sponsored. I have a Harbor Freight nearby, and they're cheap and they work well for what I want them. So you spread this out, so as you're caping and butchering the animal, you have somewhere clean to put the pieces of meat while you're dividing it up to put it in your game bags, and then you can put your game bags on the tarp to keep the game bags clean. They're cheap, they're light, they get ruined or cut up. They're like $5. So a tarp, and if needed, you can make yourself a little overnight shelter along with your paracord. Move on to my rangefinder. It's a bone collector rangefinder. It's a nice one, but it's not super expensive. I got two different mouth reeds that I use. Once again, I don't go for super expensive. I go for what works for me. My bugles. We got a Rocky Mountain elk call, which is like a $20 tube that you get at Walmart. I might get some hate for it because it's not one of the big bad boys, but you know what? Calls an elk. That's all that really matters. And then I got a little bullet bugle. It's kind of my backup in case something happens. And then for knives, I actually carry quite a few. I got a Mossy Oak gut hook. I got an Outdoor Edge caper. Another Mossy Oak razor blade with extra razors. And then I carry this little Outdoor Edge kit. And it's got your caper, your gut hook, your fillet, your bone saw, and your sharpener. It does come with two little gloves. They're in here. I use them as an absolute backup, but they're very thin. I don't care for them. They're just there. For the pack, I have an older Alaskan Outfitters pack that I use. It is pretty old now. It's a full frame pack. It gets the job done. Now you might be asking yourself, well, is that it? Yeah, that's pretty much it. I will throw a couple bottles of water in, and that's some snacks, and that's about it. You don't need a lot to go elk hunting. And if you're not being sponsored, or people aren't giving you gear to try out, there's no need to take a bunch of stuff. It's just more weight. Now I don't backpack in. This is just what I carry on day hikes. If I was backpacking in, then of course I would have more gear. But just for your normal day from base camp out, this is what I carry with me. If you'd like to see more of these videos, please leave some comments, subscribe, like, hit that bell.